Hey guys, and welcome back to the Unfiltered Gamer board game review. Today's game up on tip top is called Problem Picnic Attack of the Ants. Problem Picnic is for 2 to 4 players, ages 8 and up, for about a half an hour to play the game. In Problem Picnic, you're going to be playing as ants, and you're going to be invading a picnic. Now everybody's going to have their own unique custom die, and you're going to be rolling those die onto different areas of a board. Now, when you're rolling your die onto those areas of the board, if you have the most ants on that area, you're going to be able to take that space. And in which case, you're going to need to complete certain requirements. Sometimes most foods not touching an identical food is going to be a requirement. Other times it could be the biggest colony and so on and so forth. But while you're trying to throw your dice, your opponents are going to do that as well, and they can knock your ants off of the tables as well as playing different cards. They will stop your ants or move your ants from one area to another area, and they're trying to score the most points as well. After everybody's gone through a certain amount of rounds and played all their ant die onto the table, then the person who has the most points is the winner of the game. Alright, let me talk to you about the game. Okay, so here we have the full component overlay of Problem Picnic. Right now you're going to be getting this big stack of cards, which will show you the ants as well as the different types of food that you're going to be acquiring throughout the game. And this is where you're going to be mainly trying to throw your dice onto. Everybody's going to get one of their own unique little ant colonies. We're going to put all of your ant dice onto them, and you'll be using them throughout the game. Sometimes they'll come back, sometimes they won't after you play them, but there's 4 for 4 players. You've got round markers here, which are going to be used, given to different players throughout the game, and their bonuses are going to let you use certain things like the stomping foot and this little honey trail here, as well as maybe some poison spray. You're going to have this little lake area over here where ants will have to go when they've been used. This is the area where you're going to be trying to score the most of these specific types of things, and you're going to have different varieties of points here that will be placed down randomly, and you'll gain points at the end of the game based on the random allocation of the tokens here. You've also got all the unique different markers that you'll be using for the cards that I explained beforehand. Sometimes you'll be throwing ants onto the board with these guys here, or maybe removing them, or moving them, or simply smushing them. Everybody's got all their die, as well as the point markers and the hidden points for the end of the game. You've got your box, which comes with a rule book, as well as this scoring chart, which is going to be used for different portions of the game for points. Different ones will be used. They will indicate what you need in order to gain these points throughout the game. And as you go ahead and score them, you're going to be able to pick them up. But this is basically the amount of just different stuff you're going to get in the game. All right, let me tell you how to play the game. Okay, so those are the components, right? Well, the game's pretty simple. You're going to have 6 rounds total. At the end of every round, the next first player is going to get one of these cards, and these cards do different things. You've got the Queen's Call, the Honey Spill, Bug Spray, stuff like that, right? And you'll be using these little unique markers to make different things happen throughout the game. Oh, that's kind of cool. It has a little bottom shoe that shows you the bottom shoe. But anyway, you're going to also be, based on the number of players, be putting out different requirements for you to score points. Usually it's the number of players plus 1, so in a 3-player game, it's 4 of these guys here, and they'll tell you what you need to do. Longest diagonal of 1 color. You're also going to be using the basic scoring thing, which is the most of a certain kind. You're going to be putting 7 of these down, 2, 3, and then 2, and I'll show you in a second, as well as giving yourselves all of your die for each of the different colors. And then on your turn, you simply take one of your die and roll it on the board. When you roll it, you're trying to make it sure that it lands on one of these plates here, and if it does, then that's good for you, and if it doesn't, that's okay. It'll come back to you. The next player is going to roll as well, and so on and so forth until all of the die have been rolled. After that, you're going to acquire the plates based on the number of ants you have on them. If you have the most ants, you're going to get the plate. If not, the ants come back to you, as well as if the ants have fallen off the board or are not on a plate, you're going to come back to you as well. Only if the ants are on the plate and you have acquired that plate, then they're going to go to this location here. However, there's a unique rule with the soldier ant. It will always come back to you, so that's a nice little additive bonus. After that has happened, then the next round is going to begin. The next player is going to get one of these cards and rinse and repeat till the last round happens, in which case you're going to then score, and you're going to be getting these little question mark tokens to see how many points you get. If you tie, you're going to be getting these 3 markers here, and then whoever has the most points at the end of the game is the winner. All right, let me show you a couple of turns of the game. Okay, so I've gone ahead and set up for a 3-player game of Problem Picnic Attack of the Ants. As you can see, in this specific game, you're going to be having the 3 up here, 3 here, and then 1 right in the middle. Make sure there's enough space between them where not a single die can touch either one of them. You want to make sure there's enough space between, and then the same distance apart or away from the player boards here. These are all your die going to be located. Right now we have yellow, blue, and green. Set aside all your tokens and whatnot over here. You've got your other picnic stuff here, as well as the place where your ants are going to go when you've used them. You're not going to get them back if you score these plates until the next round. And then you're also going to be having these guys here. Take 4 of them, or 3 plus it's 3 plus 1, so it's 3 players plus 1, so it's 1 in addition to the number of players. And then also put these little ditties right here on top of these little areas here. It tells you exactly where to put them. They're random. They could be any number of different numbers. Here you got 4s, here you got 5s, you got a 7, so you're not really sure what you're going to get from here. The rest of these cards won't be used, as well as these question marks, and if you don't play with another player, this is going to be on the side as well. To begin the game, simply take one of these guys here, if green starts, and roll it. You're trying to roll it onto one of the picnics here. Okay, so great, it landed on that, that's fine. Next player is going to roll as well. That works. And then so on and so forth. Then all the rolls are going to keep going like that until all of the dice have been rolled. Let's see if we can get anything good here. Just kind of rolling it randomly. Oh. Here we go. And... oh, that was bad. I'm going to start that again. Okay, normally you can't re-roll though. Once you roll, that's it. But whatever. Okay, so after all the dice have been rolled, you're going to then take all the die that are not actually on top of a location here and put them back. And as you can see here, that actually tells you what color it's supposed to go on. Okay, here we go. And then we got blue over here. You got to look to make sure if it's touching or not. I guess that one's touching. You got yellow that didn't make it. This blue didn't make it. Blue. Okay, so the rest of them are touching now, right? Now we're going to look and see who has the most ants on each of the locations here. Well, green definitely has the most here, so these guys are going to go over here, and green is going to collect this piece here, and you can turn it over, and he'll use that in a second. Yellow's got this one over here, and he'll put that up like that. Now remember, these guys always come back, but this guy is not. You'll look at this one specifically, and you get yellow over here who has 6, and blue has 1, so blues is going to return. These yellows go over here, and yellow gets another one. And finally, over here we've got green. Green's got a bunch of them, and these all go here. Okay, so actually, no, blue got this one, so blue is going to go ahead and put it over here. So everybody got at least one of them. When you get these cards, you can actually make a tableau with them, and you can put them, put these plates anywhere there is an ant. So as you can see, it kind of goes like this. You can even kind of orientate it so it goes like that. And you can place it down behind you, however you want to do that. If you only have one, that's okay. You just place it somewhere just like that. Now you're trying to go for these different things here. The biggest colony, the most foods not touching identical food, so that's not good for him. You got most of one food in one connected group, and then you've got the longest diagonal of one single color. So maybe if he wanted to, he could start going purple this way by putting a purple one right there, and try and make it so it works out for him, that idea, right? Now you got to take the rest of these guys here and start placing them around the board. All right, just like that. Make sure they're spaced apart evenly. And these guys are going to stay here now. They're not going to go anywhere because you don't get them back until the next round afterwards. So that way the people who have not got as much have a chance to catch up. That's usually how it works anyway. After that, then you're going to go ahead and go to the next player, which is going to be green over here. And he is going to get one of these cards here, these round cards. And as you can see, there's 5 of them. So after all 6 rounds technically have been completed, then that would be the scoring phase. So this guy says Ant Queen's Call. One of your own, on your own turn, immediately move all of your own ants that are in the puddle back to your anthill. And you can go ahead and play this card when he needs it. And that would help him to actually get these 2 back on his turn. So before he rolls his dice, he can take these. Or even after he rolls his dice, he can take more ants that go into the puddle. And there's different reasons why that might happen. So he'll go ahead and save this card somewhere over here. And then once again, people will start throwing these dice out. And at the end of the round, all the dice are going to go here, and the ones that were here are going to come back. So you're going to get these for the next round, but any of these might actually end up going over here, depending on how they're rolled. And you're going to collect and rinse and repeat until all of the rounds have been gone through and everybody has gotten their round cards and then went ahead and used them. So that is the basic idea of the game. If we look over here, this is where you're going to have the scoring at the end of all 6 rounds. And you're just going to go ahead and say, okay, if let's say that red had the most identical foods not touching, okay? Well, that's not the case, but he would go ahead and get the 5 points here. The biggest colony, maybe 4 points. And if he had the most food that is connected on one group, so if he had like 4 pieces of bread all connected to each other, he'd get that. And so on and so forth. Now, for instance, though, let's say there's a tie. So over here we have 2 greens here, and this is the most green. This is normally 7 points, but it's not going to be that. Instead, each of the players who tie are going to get one of these 3 markers, and that's how it's going to be determined. Otherwise, though, you would just keep distributing these out, and the person with the most points at the end of the game, Problem Picnic, is the winner. Green. Looks like he's the winner. Okay, so a little couple caveats to the game. Remember though, soldier ants never go to the puddle. They're always going to come back to you, so you're always going to at least have these soldier ants to roll on your turn. So that's a nice little additive. So if they were to go to the puddle, just you go ahead and bring them back. Also, these round markers, you don't get one on the first turn. You're not going to get to draw a card, but the next player and every next player afterwards is going to get these guys. They do different things. I'll talk about a couple of these unique things. This thing here is when you get the little foot stomper, you're going to go ahead and put it on top of the door, and if you're going to go ahead and put it on top of the ants, and if you put on multiple of them, they're going to be smushed, and they're going to go straight to the puddle. Or this one here, for every ant that it touches, it's going to go, you're going to be able to put them on this little area over here, so that way it'll move the ants across this little thing. You got the little flying ants you can just go ahead and throw, and if you get lucky enough putting them on the board, you're going to get points for that as well. Maybe even just one ant would be all you need in order to score a certain plate. And finally, you got this one over here where if you want, you can, I think, remove all the ants off of one specific plate. So there's a bunch of that kind of stuff as well. Not only that, but you got a plethora of different cards. These are all cards that you can use to determine scoring throughout the game. So every game is going to be very unique in the fact that you're always looking to do different things with your tableau of unique plates and different food items like that the ants are going to want. Not only that, but there's a big stack of these tableau cards as well, way more than you need for a 4-player game. That being said, those are the main things about the game. Let me go ahead and tell you what I think about it. Well, first of all, this game is definitely a kid's game. It's a little bit of a dexterity game. It's a little bit of a tableau management. I mean, even kind of, I guess, area control, because you do need to control the most area on these plates, and you need to have the most ants on them, and people are trying to knock you off. And they're going to be doing that by rolling their die. So these little army ants here are mainly going to be used, in my opinion, to hit other people's die off. And for what's really cool about the game is all the die are different sizes and different amounts of ants and whatnot. So you kind of get a grasp of what you want to use and when you want to use it based on the scenario. If somebody's doing really well and you need to knock them down a peg, you can actually start knocking their ants off of those plates. And also, it might even get your ants to stick on their plates instead. You're also going to be achieving different things with your tableau, which is really fun as well. I like the fact that I'm never trying to complete the same tableau action more than once. I've played a couple times now, and we've never had the same unique cards here where you're going to be actually trying to get scoring for different things. But it keeps it fresh, it keeps it interesting, while still remaining a very simple game. I roll, you roll, she rolls, I roll, you roll, she rolls, constantly going through it until all of it's done, replace everything, at the end of 6 rounds, score up all the points, plus all the unique hidden bonus points. And what kind of makes it that random chancy thing, I don't think a real strategic gamer is going to like that as much, where it's just, okay, let's see what you got. Oh, you got 7 points. And how about you? What did you get? 5 points. Well, that's not really fair. Well, yeah, but it's kind of a chance thing. You don't know what you want to go for. You want to try and get as much stuff as you possibly can. Getting 1 is not going to be enough. So you need to kind of spread out your horizons in a way. As well as you trying to secure different the different achievements, and there's so many of them. I mean, most colors not touching identical color, most plates that are touching at least 3 others, most lines with 2 or more of the same color. There's a good amount. But either way, the game's colorful, vibrant, beautiful, fun. I love the theme too. It's so unique. Ants on a picnic table. I've never seen a theme like that, and it works very well. It's very thematic. You do feel like you're ants trying to fight against other ant colonies to get the most of the picnic food you could possibly get. Really solid all the way around. If you're a kid, family gamer, somebody who's interested in just having a light game as well as a little bit of a dexterity thing, you're definitely going to like this game. If you're more of a deep strategic person and you don't like the randomness of the points as well as the randomness of the ties, maybe probably not the game for you, especially if you don't like dexterity games. Otherwise, though, a very good game. I definitely recommend it. It's going to stay in my collection.